Hello, and welcome to bonus episode number 28 of the Book Wars Pod. I think I speak for all of us when I say that this is probably the first time in the course of making this podcast that we've not wanted to record an episode, but like, because this is all right. We're releasing. I have no words for what is going on in this country right now because holy fucking fuck. So we're recording this on June 1st. We're dropping it tomorrow, June 2nd. As y'all probably know, a week ago, George Floyd was murdered by police officers in Minneapolis who just decided that kneeling on someone's neck is a correct way to restrain a person and doesn't affect their breathing at all.
A person who was in handcuffs already.
Yes. Just, as the cops unfortunately fucking do. So we wanted to put together an episode just giving y'all some resources for helping out the Black community who have been deeply hurting in this country since before it was founded. Have been deeply hurting because of the COVID pandemic and are deeply hurting right now because even during a worldwide pandemic, cops just cannot stop themselves from fucking killing Black people because they're great. So list of resources for you, some things for you to read, and a little bit about why this should matter for a Star Wars podcast, aside from the fact that it should matter for everyone because Black lives should matter for everyone. But we live in America. That's not happening right now. Or ever. So the first thing honestly, the first thing I want to address is the fact that there are 4 co-hosts on this podcast. 3 of us are white. 3 of us are queer women. I'm the only person of color. And, speaking as an East Asian American woman, and the rest of us being white people, every single one of us has benefited from white supremacy. All 4 of us are complicit in the systems that uphold racism, in the systems that are literally murder Black people by the thousands every year, and we don't speak necessarily for the Black community because we could never do that, but we are here to be accomplices and we are here to help you do the same. So first thing we wanted to address is protesting if you feel like you are physically and emotionally able to show up in places.
Yeah, and this is something that we wanted to address just because we know that people all over the country are hurting right now, and even though Black people's pain is unique in its depth and the length with which they've been feeling it, we are all hurting right now, and we all want to do something about it. And the best thing you can do if you're able is protest. Some people aren't physically able, some people aren't emotionally able. We are still in the middle of a pandemic, and some people are high risk. Unfortunately, that is happening to a lot of people who want to go and can't. If you can go, if you are not Black, there are rules that you need to follow. Your behavior always needs to be centering Black people. You should never be the center of attention in any way. Your role is not to lead chants. Your role is not to co-opt chants led by Black people for Black people. For example, if there is a "Whose streets, our streets" chant, you should never say that they are your streets. You should be silent. You can support, you can witness, you can march and fight without co-opting the messaging of Black protesters to center yourself. Under no circumstances, moving on to point number 2, should you destroy anything as a non-Black person, period. Now, that is not to say that things should not be destroyed. I think I speak for all of us when I say that property is replaceable and human lives are not, and the completely justified anger that the black community is feeling right now, and uh, the way that they've been treated throughout American history, is it is completely justified however these protests manifest and however their emotions manifest. And there is no justification for, rather, they are completely justified, and there is no justification for thinking ill of them and calling people rioters or looters, because that's not what's happening. However, if you're not black, you need to understand that you cannot be part of the destruction. If you destroy things, black people are the ones who will pay the consequences. They are the ones who cops will continue to victimize. They are ones who will be blamed, both fiscally and criminally, for your actions. And we look around the country, and in cases of what the media is calling rioting and looting, it seems like at least 80% of the time, those actions are instigated by white people, whether well-meaning or not, or cops who are instigating it so that they can attack people afterward. This is all documented. Do not be part of the problem. You are there to support and do what organizers and protest leaders ask you to do. The other thing that you should do, the only time where you should be, frankly, active and doing something in a leadership role, if there is a confrontation with police, it is your job, as particularly as a white person, but also in many cases as a non-black person, it is your job to physically place your body between the police and black protesters. We have seen time and again in countless videos for years, police have no rules of engagement that call for restraint when it comes to black protesters. They tear gas people unprovoked. They use batons and tasers and rubber bullets unprovoked. And black people die, as Kate said, by the thousands every year for the way that police officers treat them universally across the country, every single city.
And we've seen that to be especially true so far in these protests.
Absolutely. Your job as a white person is to use your privilege, use the fact that in most cases, police will not harm you, or at least they will be far gentler with you, and will try to de-escalate the situation. We see this in the case of mass shooters, where somehow the white people always make it out alive, whereas black people, when they've done nothing wrong and they're walking down the street, end up dead. As a white person, put your body on the line and put yourself physically between the police and black protesters to protect them with your body. As you do this, you should record everything on your phone. You should note out loud the date, time, and location that you're at, and any names or badge numbers of cops that you can see. And when you're not recording, you should turn your phone off, because cops can and will track you using that. You should also password protect your phone. Cops are allowed to force you to unlock your phone using Face ID or Touch ID. There is no law preventing them from doing so. There are laws preventing them from forcing you to put your password in. They are not allowed to do that. And while cops do many things they're not allowed to do, just physically, if they don't have your password, there's only so much they can do to get into your phone. So password protect your phone. If you're posting photos or video, please, please, please blur out the faces of fellow protesters, especially protest leaders, to protect them. An extremely undercovered story for the past several years is that many of the protest leaders in Ferguson around the Mike Brown protests in 2014 are dead. And they're not just dead of natural causes. They are found hanging from trees in their cars, which have been lit on fire. And police don't investigate and call it suicide and do nothing. And there is a very real, very supported fear that they are being targeted and murdered by police. Protect the people you're protesting with. Make sure that you are centering them without putting them at risk. That is your job as an accomplice.
You think this shit only happens in movies, but no, it doesn't. It's just unbe-fucking-believable. The other thing you can do, if you can protest, and especially if you can't and you have the means, organizers have been saying that if you cannot show up to a protest, the most important thing you can do is donate money. That money goes directly to fund. I almost dropped liquid all over my computer. Goes directly to bailing out protesters who have been arrested by the police, distributing resources to communities who are especially hurting in economically due to what's going on. Black Lives Matter, the national organization, has put together a website where you can just click on some links that'll lead you to places to donate. I don't even know how to read this fucking URL, so we're gonna post all these things in a list in the episode description. Minnesota Freedom Fund is the local bail fund in Minneapolis. They have blessedly far exceeded their goal for fundraising, and they are currently asking people to redirect their donations to the Black Visions Collective and Reclaim the Block, which are both additional local Black organizations in Minneapolis.
Just to add on to what Kate said, it's not just the bail funds in Minneapolis that are kind of overwhelmed with donations, but a lot of them in a lot of cities have more money than they can use. So other than some of the organizations that we're going to call out here, if you're looking to do something in a specific city or locally, look up mutual aid funds that are being boosted by Black people in your area. That's another great place to put your money, especially in this time of pandemic, because those organizations are going to be able to help not only with making sure protesters are as sort of well stocked as they need to be, but also helping those communities heal by giving them other resources that have been cut due to the COVID-19 crisis. So mutual aid funds are a great place to put that money if you do have some. Who put North Star Health Collective? I don't even know what that is.
I found that on Minnesota Freedom Fund's website as another organization that they are directing funds to. They are one of the collectives of medics who are assisting protesters when they are abused by police.
Awesome. That's a great one.
And so funds to them will go for medical supplies, things of that nature.
Perfect. I threw Campaign Zero on here. That's an organization co-founded by DeRay McKesson, who so it's basically called Campaign Zero. So they're trying to end police violence in America, basically. So I'm just going to kind of read a little bit from their website. We can live in a world where the police don't kill people by limiting police interventions, improving community interactions, and ensuring accountability. So basically what they're focused on is actually doing research and policy research and seeing what will actually help and what will actually save lives. So that is if you're kind of like a big policy person and you want to see, we all want to see systemic change, but if that's kind of where your heart is around that particular thing, this is a great place to donate. And DeRay is a great resource generally as a Black man, and he is just a super incredible, smart guy who does things like co-found these organizations. So
the other, so I'm sorry.
No, just if you don't follow me on Twitter.
Yeah,
Go do
he's
that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yep.
just at DeRay. He's a fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a essential follow.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add to everything we just said is just two general rules of thumb for donating. Make sure you're donating to a Black founded and run organization.
Unless it's Sean King.
That was rule number 2. Do not give to Sean King. Many people know that Sean King is a scam artist who is known for taking tens of thousands of dollars, raising that money, and then no one sees it ever again. Some people don't know that. He has ingratiated himself with the white left and some celebrities as well, both white and non-white, just because of his visibility on social media. It's unfortunate. And I personally thank every day that people who showed me what Sean King was about, because I was absolutely one of the white people who was fooled by it and fooled by his, stop white supremacy in 10 easy petition steps bullshit. And so do research, Google Sean King. In a fantastic article in, I want to say Daily Beast just came out about him last week, about how there's tens of thousands of dollars in his tax returns that are unaccounted for. So that's rule number 2. To go back to rule number 1, give your money to Black-led organizations. There are many white organizations that are well-meaning. So I can think of Surge, standing up for racial justice, which is a white-led for whites, teaching them to be accomplices organization. They do great work. They say all of their funds go directly to Black people. They don't take a cut. I have no reason to believe that's not true, but why not just donate straight to the Black people? Because there's no reason white people should be touching your money right now. There's also many large nonprofits that talk about justice and are run by white people and do nothing. And those funds go to their board or to pay their salaries or to do media buys to earn more money. So just make sure that you're being smart and doing research about where you're giving your money. And it can be a local bail fund. It can be a national organization like Campaign Zero, but just make sure that we are supporting the Black community specifically.
Speaking of following Black folks on Twitter, if you read some tweets or other kinds of social media posts by a Black person and you learn something, fucking pay them money. Many of them have their Venmo or Cash App or whatever username in their social media bio. They don't put that there because they think it's funny. They put it there because you should fucking pay them, so pay them fucking money. The other thing you should do with your available cash, if you've got any, is to patronize Black businesses, especially local businesses. Literally, to find them, just pull up Professor Google, who knows fucking everything, put in the name of your town or the nearest big city, and then Black business, and see what Google spits back at you. If you're looking for places to donate that are local, you can also just fucking Google it. There is no reason for you ever to stroll up to Black people on Twitter and ask them dumbass questions such as, how can I help my local community when you live in California and they live in Philadelphia? What the fuck? Why would they know that? Also, don't go up and ask them about their experiences with racism and shit like that. That's not for you. You don't get to ask stupid questions. Anyway, Google knows everything. It'll literally take you 30 seconds if you're a slow typer. And yeah, go throw your money at Black businesses. All right. So the other thing we wanted to talk about.
Hey, Kate, can
yes.
I throw something in about the Black businesses again?
Of course.
So there are a lot of, I assume this is the same for other cities because I live in Portland, which is generally considered to be a very white city.
It was built on white supremacy. Fun fact.
It sure was.
Woo!
But I Googled this. I said, Black business Portland. And there was a fucking website that had this whole ass list Like, you don't have to go clicking through links. It takes 15 seconds. It's the easiest and least thing you could do.
Yeah, it literally took me like 5 seconds earlier today when I was like, I am a piece of shit and need to order food. Black-owned eateries, Portland, Oregon. And then I put that on Twitter and retweeted it. Look, it's so easy. Like, it's fucking... Anyway.
Thank you. All right. Other things we want to talk about are things that you can read to get yourself educated about racial issues, especially if you're a white person, so that you don't have to go on Twitter and ask black people stupid ass questions. Again, this list is a lot of books and articles are mainly focused toward a white audience, but you know, if you're like me and you are a racial minority who is still in a position of relative privilege, couldn't hurt for you to read these as well. So have at it.
We put a ton of suggested and required reading on this list, and we're not going to read it to y'all, but it's a nice compilation of just stuff that we've read and stuff that is in our to-be-read pile. If you are going to purchase any of these books, order them from your local indie bookstore, as we always say. And if there's one that's black owned that you can order from, even better. But yeah, if you feel like you have some more educating to do for yourself, and I think even folks who feel like they might be pretty educated already are hopefully in the position where they think that they can use more education around this, because we all can, I think. Put these on the top of your to-read pile when you're... maybe don't read them all at once. That might be too much. But please do put them in your to-read pile. We'll put out a list of what we have here, and then we have a few compilations that we use the Google machine to find. But yeah, I know right now I'm working through Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Saad. And it basically started as like an Instagram campaign challenge thing, weirdly. And then it turned into like a workbook. And now there's like a book and audiobook to go with it as well. So just shout out to that's the one that I'm currently reading. But there's a ton of stuff on this list that's like by black authors. There's tons of stuff on this list that's like if you're looking for something specific, like I want to know more about the history of this thing, this part of fucked up white US bullshit. There's a lot of that on here, but there's also a lot of like, this is a resource for if you want to be a less horrible white person complicit in the systems you're benefiting from. So,
Yeah,
cool.
and like Kristen said, no matter where you think you stand on being informed, you're wrong and can read more. And I think this section of the podcast talking about these books is especially important because it's really easy for people to be like, we stand with black people, and you know, the kind of the empty like people are people statements, but like it's just so important to actually be informed like about how we got to this place, because that surface level you know, faux what's the word I'm looking for?
Performative.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
the
the word.
performative like allyship
Mm-hmm.
with, you know, black people in America. Like, you don't get a fucking gold star for that if you... And unfortunately, this is something that is not really taught in America because white people have whitewashed the shit out of history. But, like, you can control this now you can read the history. Again, don't go to black people on Twitter and say, hey, what should I read? Look at this list. Google books about racism. 10 seconds. And you can find something to educate yourself so that you can be better equipped to support black people, especially now.
You can even Google, like, if you're a white person and you want to specifically look for things that are like, me as a white person, what should I read? Because we love to put ourselves in the middle of things. You can literally Google essential reading for white people about race in America. And there's just like a whole ass list that'll come up. It's like other people have done this before because white people won't stop asking.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is just because Google is Google and can also pull shit up like Hillbilly Elegy, which is trash. Look up how, like, being anti-racist and though, like, being an accomplice. These are the terms that you want to use because these are the terms that black organizers and black leaders use when it comes to what they need from white people.
Yeah. And again, look for black authors on this.
Yes.
Like, I don't need to go out as a white person and buy a book by a white person about how to be a white person standing next to this. That does fucking nothing. Like, there's so many books out there by black authors, and I think that's hopefully most or all of our list. I'm not familiar with everyone, but like, this is going to the source. This is giving money back to the black folks who are putting this effort in to write these books. And like, a lot of these are kind of, focused on what we can do as white people. Again, 10-second Google search if you're not sure. It's that easy.
It's
Yeah.
amazing what Google can find for you these days, It's astounding.
Is there anything else anybody wanted to specifically call out? I feel bad for just plugging the one that I'm currently reading, so I wanted to see if anybody else had. I mean, all of these are fucking great. Looking at this list, but
I would highlight just to, speaking of going back to the source, on this list is The Fire Next Time by the late, great James Baldwin, which, having read this one, it is astonishing and disheartening how little has changed in this country since he wrote this. As a modern response to The Fire Next Time, Jessamine Ward, who is a black novelist and essayist, curated a collection of essays by a number of people, which is called The Fire This Time. Again, highly recommend that. Ta-Nehisi Coates has an incredible bibliography of books and articles that you should read. Want to highlight here The Case for Reparations. You probably know his book Between the World and Me, but this is a great way to follow that up and figure out a little bit more about what solutions can look like. I've heard good things about White Rage by Carol Anderson and White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. And the last thing I would highlight here is The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, which talks about mass incarceration, which is currently the U.S.'s only legal form of slavery, basically. So, yeah. Read up. Let your despair turn into action. And as we said, there's always more to learn, so keep an eye out for I have no doubt that there are going to be a number of books and articles that emerge from this time period that we should be paying attention to. Aside from those things, the New York Times has released the 1619 Project. 1619 referring to the date that the first African slave was brought to U.S. soil. There's a number of essays and long-form articles available on the New York Times website as well as a podcast. You're trapped inside and need to clean out your closet. Need more podcasts? Listen to this one.
It also just won a Pulitzer Prize just a few weeks ago.
Yes. Good highlight. 13th, referring to the 13th Amendment, is a documentary available on Netflix, directed by the inimitable Ava DuVernay. Please educate yourself about its passage and also just the ways that white people have absolutely gutted it. Because holy fucking fuck. Somebody want to talk about police unions?
Yeah, I put all this shit on here.
Thanks.
This is all courtesy of DeRay stuff. He was on a podcast that I just happened to listen to today when I was trying to cram things into my brain in a healthy way. So even though they use the word union, police unions are not like labor unions. I'm going to kind of be paraphrasing. Yeah, it was just DeRay on Pod Save America today, so go listen to that if you want to listen to a good interview with him. But he eloquently said that, or aptly I should say, that police unions aren't like labor unions. They're more comparable to like the NRA, in that they're special interest lobbyists basically. And they're only there to protect police officers, and they're only there to keep police officers from being held accountable for their actions. So, and this is something that's come out since 2014. There have been independent studies looking at the before and after effects of different police departments unionizing. The 3 independent studies that have come out since 2014, totally unrelated to one another, they've shown the only effect that happens when police departments unionize is they kill more people. So keeping police unions from unionizing is one of the only kind of unionizing efforts that we are vehemently against on this podcast.
Literally. Like, this is the only time you will ever hear us say that unions are bad.
Yeah. And I hate that they even get to use the word unions because they're not labor unions.
Yeah, I mean, they're terrorist organizations. They're local terrorist organizations is what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there's a bill in Congress right now that even a lot of like Democratic leaning folks and like, you know, purely Democratic representatives are voting yes on, because I think it's got like some bullshit community safety name. But it's HR 1154, and it will make it easier for police unions to happen. Basically, it makes it so that if there were laws around police not being able to unionize, that this would supersede that. So one thing that we can all do is call our reps. Even if you're in a blue state and you think your rep is on the right side of this, call your reps and tell them to vote no on HR 1154.
Yeah, especially if you're in a blue state.
Yep.
Call your rep. You know, and this is, I just watched 13 the other day, and this is something that was really stressed. This kind of bill is very much a bipartisan thing. You know, everybody is trying to go out there and be the law and order candidate, with law and order, of course, being, it's not performative language, but like kind of a thinly veiled thing for like, we're gonna arrest a lot of fucking people. And because of the systemic racism built into our institutions, that's mostly gonna be black people.
Yep. I mean, terms like law and order, community safety, all of those are just watchwords for racist tactics, excuses for racist tactics. There is no reason why we need police at all in this country, because all that police departments are modern day slave patrols, and another thing that they probably didn't tell you in history class is how modern police forces literally evolved from the people who used to be hired to catch runaway slaves. So, yeah, there's just because we are told that police protect us, obviously that's not true, and police are good under absolutely no circumstances because they emerged literally from the seeds of our country's greatest evil. So, that's that.
I just want to stress, these aren't like spurious accusations we're making. These are documented truths. Like, there are interviews and written documentation from politicians, from local leaders for decades talking about what their department's goals are, talking about how they are messaging to secure the white vote. And like this is not conspiracy theorizing, which I know we all know, but I feel like a lot of white people have a lot of trouble with, well, you know, I don't like all these conspiracy theories. We can't we all just get along? No, literally, this is a concerted effort for the past 200 plus years to disenfranchise and assault Black Americans. And it's all provable, and it's all been proven. And again, a simple Google search will find it.
No, we can't all get along because we stole this land from people who lived on it with the help of forced labor. So until those debts are remedied and rectified, no, we can't all get along.
We mentioned earlier in this episode that just alarming numbers of Black people are killed by police every single year. According to Al Jazeera, 7,666 Black people were killed by police between 2013 and 2019. In May 2020 alone, and this is not even taking into account all of the folks who have been extrajudicially murdered by police in this past year. This is just in May. There were a number of Black folks who whose names haven't even necessarily been popping up on social media who were killed by police. Sean Reed was 21 years old, and he was killed in Indianapolis. Gregory Howe, 37, in Deltona, Florida. Robert Johnson Jr., 29, in Essex, Maryland. George Floyd, last Monday, 46 years old, in Minneapolis. Tony McDade was a 38-year-old trans man who was killed in Tallahassee, Florida. And being that we have entered Pride Month, let us not forget that we get to celebrate Pride because Black trans women started this movement long before anyone else bothered to get off their asses. Dave McGatey was 53 and killed in Louisville, and just this past weekend, James Scurlock, 22, was shot by a white supremacist in Omaha, Nebraska during a protest, and that guy was not charged. The reason why we have to care about this, aside from the fact that you should care about people, period, why should we care about this as a Star Wars podcast? Because we are not innocent of engaging in racist action. Maybe no one from the like loud ass Star Wars community has gone and, you know, murdered a Black person, but certainly we have committed crimes against non-white individuals. Fandom Menace chased Daisy Ridley, fucking crap, I can never say her name, off of social media several years before they also chased Kelly Marie Tran off social media. But if looking back on it, I think we can remember exactly what kinds of awful vitriol were leveled at Kelly Marie Tran based on her race, her appearance, her weight, her age. It was so much worse than what Daisy Ridley went through, and what Daisy went through was terrible. Rebel Force Radio is a podcast that is somehow still in fucking existence. It is co-hosted by two white dudes who just are horribly racist and dismissive of anyone who is not like them. And yet, Star Wars creators and actors continue to appear on their podcast. Kat Tabor and James Arnold Taylor were on just last week, and Sam Witwer is on all the fucking time, numerous fucking times. Jason Ward of Making Star Wars, which was for a long time one of the places where people who were interested in leaks and spoilers and all those sorts of things, that was the source that they went to, just decided to show his entire ass that he's a fucking pedophile. But in addition to that, but long before that, he had a history of racism and misogyny, and it, for whatever fucking reason, took this fucking long when he was victimizing young white women for people to cancel him. Ridiculous. John Boyega, just last week, he's always been outspoken on social media, and God bless him that he's still trucking after everything that's happened to both him and his co-stars. But just last week, posted a tweet that was just, "I fucking hate racists," which somehow became controversial because saying I hate racists is fucking controversial now. Absurd.
Carrie Fisher is rolling in her urn.
She really is.
Fucking, I don't understand how Star Wars got her and him to do Star Wars, because they're outspoken and very good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. Nonstop, John Boyega has been dealing with just hate campaigns against him, started by not just fucking randos, but like real, quote unquote, real people, including white entertainment journalists like Lindsay Romaine, who writes for Nerdist, just riling up all of their white followers to just endlessly harass him. Fucking absurd. I don't even have. I'm like so angry thinking about it. Like I can't even put words around it. Like it was ridiculous. Chris, you read some of those tweets last week, didn't you?
Oh, I mean, yeah. It's just the vitriol with which these quote unquote mild mannered, why can't we all just get along, white people respond when their views are challenged, and when there's any implication that white people are the problem instead of just specific white people like Donald Trump or people who voted for Donald Trump are the problem. It's ridiculous, and they show who they are extremely quickly by how they respond to and treat black people on Twitter.
To be fair, we do hate people who voted for Donald Trump.
Oh no, they're
sorry.
scum of the earth.
Wanted to make sure that was clear. We hate most white people, but but also the people who voted for Donald Trump.
Yes. Including but not limited to.
And speaking of people who are fairly prominent and known who are perpetrating racist action, have been called out and decided to bury their heads in the sand and block people. Chuck Wendig, anytime he's been called out by a person of color or a woman of color, blocked. I don't know if Delilah S. Dawson blocks people, but
Yeah, she does.
She does? Great, cool. Well, she got called out for her racist depiction of Vi Marathi in Black Spire and blocked a bunch of people because she's swell. And just this past weekend, Taika Waititi did a bad thing and tweeted just criticizing the riots this weekend.
Yeah, that hurt.
Yeah, just basically policing how people should quote unquote how people should protest, the right way to protest. Just the depths to which, I mean, we all love Taika for what he's created, but this just goes to show the depths to which white supremacy reaches. Like, it is in all of our brains, no matter what we look like or who we are. And yeah, no, it is our job and it is our challenge to address and undo the ways that society has indoctrinated us into these systems. So things you can do in the Star Wars community: follow Star Wars What Matters. A lot of y'all know about this hashtag and this social media movement that was founded by a diverse group of Star Wars fans to push for increased diversity in the Star Wars franchise, both in terms of actual depictions of actors and also behind the camera. Other things you can do. I had a disgusting hell of a time trying to find podcasts by Black and Latinx individuals in the Star Wars community, which tells me two things. Number one, that I'm fucking stupid and I need to follow and I need to diversify my following. And number two, we have not created space for creators of color to have these platforms. And frankly, a lot of these people don't feel safe producing a podcast because they don't want to get doxxed by Nazis. And you
Not
can't blame them.
surprised. This fandom is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Surprise. But a few folks that you can follow. Scaritz at Fourth Wall on Twitter. That's at IV Wall. Produces the Beyond the Fourth Wall podcast, which is all about writing. And he just talked to Star Wars author Zoraida Cordova about her writing process, including what it was like to write A Crash of Fate, which is her Star Wars YA novel. Zoraida herself has a writing podcast called Deadline City, which she hosts with Danielle Clayton, who is a fellow YA author and a Black woman. Katrina Dennis, friend of the pod, at OKatrina, co-hosts YouTube Bantha Tambien. Sorry, I can't pronounce things correctly because I'm literally stupid.
That's just the best name for a podcast.
Isn't it so good? She and her co-hosts at Maria Gisela on Twitter. Like Katrina's a Latinx woman. Maria Gisela is a black Latinx woman. Go listen. They are a delight. But Why Though is a podcast network dedicated to all kinds of nerd things, co-founded by Kate Sanchez, who is also a co-founder of Star Wars What Matters. So go give her her entire network a listen. Nerds of Color, another podcast network for all things geeky, and all of her hosts are diverse in some manner. And last but absolutely not least, we will mention Starships, which is hosted by Celestial Intent, who is a Latinx woman, friend of the pod, a fucking delightful human being. This is a podcast about shipping, as in romantic relationshiping, and platonic, I guess, whatever, any kind of shipping you want in the Star Wars universe, and it's just like a blast. And Adriana is one of the most lovely human beings I have ever come across on the hell site that is Twitter, and y'all should listen.
There's also KanjiCast on our own parent network.
Yeah. Also,
I mean,
But
our
many
Tashi
Tashi
Station.
Yes.
network podcasts.
not to be too self-pluggy,
Yes.
but there's a lot of I
But yeah, contributors,
believe
Brian
every-
Larson. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kristen.
I was just gonna say I believe every podcast on our network has at least one person of color, which is an insanely low bar, and yet here we are mentioning it.
Yeah.
As the token Asian on this fucking podcast. Woo!
Yeah, contributors and co-founder Brian Larson, Bria Livornia, who is also managing editor. Jay Shaw is on the KanjiCast. There are, I think, other contributors to other podcasts that I cannot call to mind right now. But again, where you put your clicks and your downloads and your listens has an impact. And it has an impact on how you view the world and on what posts get promoted in people's algorithms.
Yep. And if there's anything we've missed here, I'm sure there is because it's three white people. If there's anything we've missed here, please do tweet at us, DM us, whatever, however you feel most comfortable, so that we can call out our own shit. That's if you feel comfortable doing that. It's not your job, but it's always appreciated if it's something that that you'd like to do to help us out and help us be better people and better citizens of this fuck shit. And Kate keeps calling herself stupid, but she's not. And I just wanted to thank her specifically for offering to shepherd us through this, since the other two people besides me are white and Kate has to deal with more fucking bullshit than probably the three of us combined easily. So just wanted to thank her for doing that, even though this is not her fucking job. But we have this platform, so we wanted to use it if for some reason you're still listening to the Book Wars pod.
And you know what? As frustrated and tired and disheartened and angry as I am, still nothing compared to black folks all across this country, including some of my friends who had felt compelled. They could, because they had to, because their lives are literally on the line, to go protest in Denver at the Capitol building and put themselves at risk of COVID because y'all can't stop killing black people.
I just want to end with it quick. I've, as I should, been trying not to talk very much in this podcast and not to interject. I do want to, as a very privileged white man, talk to other white people for a second, because we know that much of our listener base is white, and much of the fandom is white. We need to do a better job of reaching out to people and being more inclusive in our content as well. But much of our listener base is white. Much of our listener base, probably our entire listener base, if you're still listening at this point, is left-leaning, if not outright, completely liberal, socialist, what have you. We need, as white people, to look at ourselves and look at our family. I guarantee you, me, every single white person, every day, you are doing something that ranges from suboptimal to problematic to outright racist. And you don't mean it. And also, no one cares if you meant it, because it's harmful and it hurts people physically when you do that. And part of how we can start to fix everything that's broken in this country is if somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, that was offensive," or "Hey, I really didn't appreciate how you did X," just accept it. Sit with it. Think about it. Don't use your white tears to make them feel bad about you. Don't make yourself the victim. Don't try and tell them what you meant. They know what you meant. White people have been doing this to them for their entire lives. They know what you meant to say. That was air quotes. That's not helpful on a podcast. Sorry. Don't make it about you. Say, "I appreciate you telling me you didn't have to do that. That's not your job to do that, and I really appreciate it, and I want to sit with that and learn from it." And then leave them alone.
Please do not, speaking as a person of color, and I don't speak for all people of color, but best advice that I've seen is, please do not put yourself prostrate at my feet, weeping upon them and washing them with your tears in your hair or some shit. I don't need that, because then that's called, I have to manage your fucking emotions.
Yep.
Which is not my damn job, because you're the one who hurt my fucking feelings, bitch. And the second thing is, you can't promise that you're never going to do some bullshit like that again, whatever the hell bullshit you did. That is not a promise that you can make, because this is a continuous journey for all of us, myself included, to undo what racism has done to every single one of us. But you can say that you can do that. You will try to do better, and then actually fucking do better. As Chris said, sit there, think about things, actually think about things. Don't just kind of think about it and then cringe and then not think about it because you're you feel guilt or whatever. You should feel guilty. So sit with it.
But you should not make other people aware that you feel guilty.
Yes.
They know. And here is the other quote unquote harder one. The so-called Thanksgiving conversation. all of us have family members, all of us white people, I should say, have family members who are less educated on racial justice, who are flat out racist, who are, as people like to say, from a different generation. We all have them. We all love them. They are our families. If you are not, at every opportunity, talking to them about these issues, about these protests, about George Floyd, and why the entire system of policing needs to be abolished, if you are not taking every opportunity to talk to them and explain to them and help them find resources, because it is your job to help them Google it as a white person, then you are part of the problem. We are no longer, and arguably should never have been, in a society where it is okay for you to not talk about things because they are uncomfortable. It is also uncomfortable for the thousands of black people who are killed every year. No one cares if your grandpa is mad at you after Thanksgiving dinner. You are their family. You are the only one who they listen to. They don't listen to random people on the internet. When you tweet platitudes to your following, which in most cases is not very big, and I do this too, myself 100% included in here, you're preaching to the choir, or if you're not, they're ignoring you. You're not helping anybody change their mind. It is your responsibility to talk to these people about these issues. If you do not, you are the problem. You are contributing to the continued assault and murder of black people in our society. We are past not talking about uncomfortable topics. So if, in addition to all the immediate things that we talked about at the top of this podcast, if we leave you with anything, learn to be uncomfortable and start talking to people.
If you're uncomfortable, it probably means you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Also go to therapy.
Also go to therapy. Also, who's comfortable when they talk to their family anyway? I want to be a part of your family.
Dude. And on that sad note.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was the most humorous thing we said all podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Kate, for taking on the burden and the emotional labor of leading us through this discussion and for putting up with us.
Y'all suck. Eat my ass.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our non-white listeners for always sticking with us and helping us be better, even though that is not your job. Thank you to our white listeners for hopefully listening and trying to internalize this. We will be back to our regular programming of reading books with mostly a normal schedule. Can y'all still hear me? I can no longer hear myself.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. We will be back to a normal schedule. We will be keeping the current events and the protests across the country against police brutality at the top of our social media feeds. And if there are any updates that we feel need to be discussed, we'll be talking about them. But we also believe that people find joy in listening to podcasts and not to inflate our egos enough to think that we bring people joy.
We
But,
don't.
Yeah, no.
Just misery.
Like, again,
No.
a step above mediocrity is what we aim for.
No one
Yes.
listens to this podcast
No.
to bring them joy.
That's, yeah.
Nobody should listen to this podcast. Full stop.
It's true.
But if listening to podcasts is something that brings you joy, finding joy in this time is the best motivator you can have to do the hard things. And so we want to continue to keep the issues that matter at the forefront while still providing the shitty content that you desire. So we will be continuing with our reading. This week, we will be reading chapters 5 through 9 of Alphabet Squadron by Alexander Freed. Continue the conversation with us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. We're going to be tweeting and retweeting a lot of Black voices, a lot of organizations that you can help. Be a part of that discussion. If you want to talk about any of these issues or any of these resources, I am volunteering myself. Don't ask Kate. I am volunteering myself. I am happy to talk with anybody that wants to talk if they need advice for having hard conversations, for where to start with learning to become anti-racist. Talk to us. Reach out to us. We are here. And by we, I mean myself. And if Kristen or Miranda wants to volunteer themselves, they are also women, so that is also not necessarily their job.
Yeah, y'all can reach out to me
Um,
and Miranda. Miranda,
I'm not good at advice.
it's
so
fine. I'm volunteering. you.
Proceed at your own risk.
I mean, all you have to do is tell people just fucking Google it. So
that
so
is
true.
what I do.
You can send them the "Let me Google that for you" link. It's great.
I love that link. Anyway, sorry.
it's great. As you listen, we often ask for people to give us money at Patreon or Coffee. Don't do that this week. If you were going to, please give it to one of the organizations that we mentioned at the top. They need it far, far more than us.
Honestly, if it's ever a choice between donate to us and donate to Black people, don't donate to us.
Yeah. Yes. I don't have our usual thing up. We'll post pictures of our pets because it's been a really fucking hard week for everybody,
It's a good
and we
call,
all need
Chris.
some joy. So we'll post some good pictures. I know we have one of Pork Chop in the hopper right now.
And Jasper's in the cone of shame, which is making him look extra cute.
Oh, the baby.
I love his giant bone. It's
So
perfect.
good.
That child.
Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe Butera Design. We really do appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode. We will be back with our normal content, and we really hope that you are taking this time in this horrible timeline that we are in as a country and as a world to try and make things better.